Hey everyone. So in the last video, I introduced sort of the concept of me creating a book and trying to get it self-published. I don't want to speak for a solid 2 hours and have a massive long drawn out video. So I'm going to be doing a few shorter videos. That's why I'm still dressed the same. Plus I just don't have the time. I want to try and fill you in as much as I can without completely destroying all of my evenings and early mornings. This is what I look early in the morning, by the way. You can just see, it's tough to get up, for me. But anyway, the book that I'm coming out with, so the title that I'm going with is called Health, period. I could just leave it at that, just health, which I think is really cool because I don't distinguish between natural health, conventional health. Health is health, well-being, right? So I like that aspect. I also like the idea of, just historically looking back, my great-great-grandkids could say, my great-great-granddaddy wrote the book on health. So I like that too. So health, I think just kind of says it all. And then the subtitle is going to be Decluttering the Natural Health Industry and Rethinking Chronic Disease. And I think that really sums up what the book is about. Really my focus and my passion has been chronic disease. Well, my passion really has been aging, really. Lifelong. I was originally contemplating writing an anti-aging book, which I think it sort of is. The first chapter in the introduction really talks about my ideas of aging and how I view aging, aside from just taking a magic pill and being immortal. I sort of talk about it a little bit in terms of advancements within anti-aging medicine. And from that intro, you start to just get you start to know me a little bit more. And then that melds right into what the rest of the book is really about, which is chronic disease, leveraging in the book. So chronic disease, I noticed when I was in school, I discovered a connection, or I noticed a connection within pretty much all chronic diseases across the board. And it's funny, a lot of people don't know what chronic disease means. So chronic disease is really just disease or health concerns that really take a long time to develop. So cardiovascular disease, for example, you don't just wake up one morning with cardiovascular disease. It develops over a long period of time. And there's certain risk factors. Alzheimer's disease as well. My grandmother suffered from Alzheimer's disease. It doesn't just show up. It builds over a long, long period of time. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, all of the other, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, these sort of like related to high cholesterol, heart disease. These are all chronic diseases. Cancer is a chronic disease. Certain hormonal imbalances like bone loss, osteoporosis, that's a chronic disease. What I noticed actually way back while in school and just studying disease after disease, I noticed that there was a connection between, and even while reading literature, I used to just in my spare time just read study after study after study. And I noticed that inflammation, sugar, and stress was the commonality, at least in my view. Those were three commonalities that I noticed in chronic diseases across the board. And originally, besides an anti-aging book, I was thinking of creating a book with three sections: inflammation, sugar, and stress. Now, when I say sugar, I don't necessarily mean just sugar, like refined white sugar that you have in packets, but energy in general. So energy metabolism in the body. It's just a lot of times in studies, they refer to insulin, like certain types of cancers, they'll refer to insulin or insulin-like growth factor or insulin growth factor. There's all of these connections with sugar, energy metabolism in the body. And I took it a step further in the book and I applied a lot of the key points to energy across the board. So not just sugar, but carbs, starches, fats. Protein is kind of an energy too, especially now with the keto diet being like this huge trend. I don't spend much time in the keto diet, but I'd be more than happy to chat about that in terms of like just free content, just chatting about the ketogenic diet ongoing. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out. I'd be happy to talk about it. But energy in general, I noticed a connection with energy, the stress, not just stress, as in, I'm stressed out, because stress gets pegged for everything. It's sort of like now people don't even believe it. They sort of think of stress as just an excuse. Sorry, my nose is itchy. You're getting the real deal right here, right? No Hollywood glamour here. But the stress response. and how that relates. And the more I dug in there and the more I looked into inflammation, sugar, and stress, the more not only I realized how intimately connected they were in terms of reaching out to virtually all chronic diseases across the board, or most of them anyway, but they are connected themselves. Inflammation and the stress response is intimately connected. Our energy metabolism, inflammation, and the stress response are intimately connected. And so when I started writing the book on inflammation, sugar, and stress, it became, I went through a few renditions of this and I kept trashing the paper and throwing it out. It was really frustrating because the inflammation section itself was just, it became so complex, so fast that I lost track of myself. I didn't know where to go. It's just too complex, especially for the layperson, the person who's never really heard of it. It's just, it's too out there, and there's too many directions you could take it. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. Which is also, I think, ironically, why I think chronic disease has such a hard time in terms of huge progress within medicine, and why it costs so much money, because research is geared in terms of focusing on each chronic disease separately, when I now believe that they're intimately connected. They should almost be treated as one. And I think the one commonality is aging. So in other words, if we focused more on energy on the aging process and understanding the aging process, instead of creating different fundraisers for each chronic disease, I think in understanding the aging process better, in particular, linking inflammation, sugar, and stress, energy, metabolism, and stress, which is linked virtually to all of them. There's probably others too, but those are definitely major threes. I think our understanding for each of these chronic diseases would dramatically improve. And I go in the book and I explain why I think that is. I came up with a really cool analogy. It's called I think I called it like the grenade effect or something. So have a look for that in the book. I think you'll really enjoy it. Something I just kind of put in and I thought would be valuable to put in the book. So that's essentially what the book is about. I connect inflammation, sugar, and stress, and I use cholesterol as a focal point to explain it. And it's in a narrative. So it's not meant for doctors. It's not meant for other healthcare professionals or people within the natural health industry, although if they find value in it, go ahead, knock yourself out. It's not for the know-it-all crowd. I'm not trying to impress anybody here. I've written this book for one type of person and one type of person only, which is you, the layman, us, me, human beings, people who either are suffering with chronic disease or who have known people who have suffered with chronic disease. And it's not medical advice. I'm not here to be your doctor at all. So any questions, anything you want to incorporate into your lifestyle or diet, you please, please, please speak with your doctor, speak with your healthcare professionals. This is not meant to be medical advice, but it is meant to shed some light and give you some consideration so that when you go and speak with somebody about it, you're going to have a much better understanding. And you're going to be much more savvy. And in doing this, I sort of tell it in terms of a story. I share my personal experiences. I share my relationships. I share my clinic background and my background in retail. I've spent the last 10 years, actually I spent my whole life in retail, you should know. But specifically within a natural health industry, that's something I know very, very, very well. I can honestly say that's really a space that I've really dedicated a lot of my time to, and I've learned, and I'm still learning a lot. But to be in the retail side of things really gives you a unique perspective, which is different, but also complementary to the professional. So you have the naturopathic medical profession, but you also have the natural health industry too. They're intimately linked, but they're not always treated as the same. So I'm hoping that I can sort of bridge the gap between the two and shed some light and lean on different areas of expertise to bring it to you in the form of a story, in the form of a narrative, in terms of sort of like the next best thing aside from me, the next best thing to me, literally sitting with you, having a good cup of joe and having a conversation with you. That's kind of what I tried to do with this book. And of course I'm available, email, Instagram at Robert Horovitz, DM me, email me at robert@lifelongwell.ca, comment on YouTube, just search Robert Horovitz on YouTube and comment. I'll respond. It's me, whatever value I can offer. Again, right now I don't really have an audience, so I don't even know how I'm going to sell this book. I really, really don't, but I just know it has to get out there. I have to just move forward. I can't be worried about making the book perfect, as I mentioned in the last video. So I edited it the best that I could. It's going to have grammatical errors. It's going to have structural things that you might not be happy with if you're an author. And it might not be for you, but if you're looking for the best, if you're looking for ways, in here I reveal some of my best strategies to save money. If you're looking to see a naturopathic doctor, there's a really, really good strategy that I've learned just from my own experience looking back now, if I can go back in and save my patients a huge, what I think is a huge amount of money, I would change the way I structure that. And I reveal that in this book. So anybody who's considering seeing an ND, I'm going to reveal that there are certain tools that the professionals use, naturopathic doctors use, some of the most, craziest tools I've ever seen. I reveal that in the book, things that you could take advantage of just by reading it. So I think that alone, without even going further, I think is well worth, the $20 that I think I'm going to put about a $20 price tag on the ebook. It's my life's work. And I think an ebook is the way to do it. By print, it just sucks up my margin. I don't get any money. I'm not happy. I'm just going to be disgruntled by the whole process. And I'm just being honest. I'd love to have print copies for my own ego. I love the feel of print, so I might do that later. But I think the ebook is kind of my easiest way to get in. So I'm looking for feedback on there. I'm open, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it right now. So I think that's pretty much what the book is about in general. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of what other value I can offer you, how else I could tell you about it. But I'm going to start sharing some of the process in terms of how I'm going to get it out there. Excuse me. I actually filed for an ISBN. So that's the international book code that you see on the back of the book. So that's kind of like step one. And I'm working on some other things too. I'm working on my book cover. That's been really frustrating. So I'm going to talk about in the next video some of the process involved, I think, just to give you a better idea and understanding. And I'm open to feedback, by the way, totally open. So I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward to hopefully getting some reviews on this. I would mean the world to me if you could review it. At first, I think I'm going to put it for about $1. So if you want to help a brother out and just, seriously, just help your compadre and just review it, because I'll put it on, it'll help with the ranking on Amazon, I think. So till next video, take care.